Probably the most iconic Asian horror film to ever hit the big screen, the influence of Ring can be seen in many places. Just to name a few examples, in the anime Kimi ni Todoke, the main character is actually a very sweet, kind girl, and just wants to fit in and be helpful to her classmates. However, because of her long hair and difficulty in how to act in social situations, everyone mistakenly gets the impression she is Sadako from The Ring. Her real name is Sawako, hence the name misunderstanding. It's a very interesting Ring reference. As another example, the character Zappa from Guilty Gear is possessed by a strange woman that looks surprisingly a lot like Sadako. The apparition's name, being Esko, isn't suspicious at all. And Zappa's ultimate instant kill move from the game is also a pretty obvious Ring reference. Then there is even the American comedy, Scary Movie 3, which has many references and jokes from Ring.
The TV's leaking! Cindy, this bitch is messing up my floor!
So today, we're going to take a look at the original classic Japanese horror film, Ring, and see why this is such a defining film in the horror genre. As always, this movie review will contain a story summary, so you've been warned. That being said, let's jump right in and take a look at Ring, the Japanese film that took the world by storm. Ring is a unique horror film in that instead of going for a high body count, jump scares, and grotesqueness, is that even a word? It's more like a thriller/mystery film. The story starts out with two young Japanese girls talking about the rumor of the strange cursed videotape, and that if someone watches it, that person will die in 1 week. Interesting to note here is the origin of the famous cursed videotape is actually explained. In other versions of this movie, they usually don't explain where the tape comes from. But in the Japanese version, it's explained that a Japanese boy wanted to record a baseball game that he would otherwise not get to see while he was visiting a place called Izu in Japan. Since the stations use different frequencies for broadcast in different areas of Japan, he set the recorder to record what he thought was the game. So he should have just recorded nothing but static onto the videotape since he was on the wrong channel. Since the station he chose to record was not broadcasting anything at all. However, the videotape itself did record something that no one suspected would become the cursed VHS tape. Later that night, the young girl Tomoko, who had watched the tape 1 week prior, suddenly dies in her home. A reporter, Asakawa Reiko, the main character of this movie, gets called in to interview some young students who have been hearing rumors of the cursed tape and the deaths that it has caused. She has an interest in the story since Tomoko, the one who died at the start of the movie, was actually her niece, and her young son was attached to Tomoko and would often go over to play with her. The clues lead Reiko to look into the deaths of the first 4 young people at a rental resort, where they had watched the videotape together one night. The faces of the 4 students are distorted in the photograph they took of themselves, but only a photograph taken after they had watched the VHS tape. Reiko herself, curious, watches the videotape in the same cabin the young people watched it in. Here is the Japanese version of the legendary video. Sorry everybody, now you've got 7 days left. When the very odd video ends, you can barely see a reflection of Sadako in the background. Reiko then gets the usual phone call, which is just filled with static. A big misconception people have with the whole Ring phone call thing is that when it rings, there is a creepy voice that says, 7 days, or something like that as a warning. But actually in the original, there is never any voices after the phone rings, just the same odd static noise from the VHS tape. Reiko realizes she has 7 days to solve the mystery. Her ex-husband comes over to help her out, taking her photograph and realizing that it is now distorted. He watches the tape himself to ease her fears and asks her to make a copy of the tape so he can analyze it as well. They get to work and find a secret message recorded backwards in the video during the scene of the pointing figure. They also search old newspapers and find the old article in question from the video about a volcanic eruption in Oshima. The article mentions that the eruption had been predicted in advance by someone named Shizuka, the woman in the video combing her hair. While visiting her father, Reiko's son watches the cursed videotape in the middle of the night, much to Reiko's horror. Now that her son has watched it, there is more at stake than ever before, and she gets determined to solve the mystery as quickly as possible. She and her ex take a trip to Oshima Island to learn more, staying at a hotel where a relative of Shizuka worked and lived. They discover that Shizuka was brought to Tokyo for testing and a demonstration of her ESP abilities that she apparently had because of predicting the volcanic eruption. A professor wanted to prove the existence of ESP and how her abilities could help people. Everyone called her a fraud, however, and insulted her, and the ESP demonstration, they called it a silly magic show. Reiko also finds that Shizuka had a daughter named Sadako. Sadako herself was at the ESP demonstration in Tokyo and was angry with the men that called her mother a fraud, and so killed one of them with her inherited ESP abilities. Finding no records of Sadako or what had happened to her, the couple raced back to Izu, to the cabin where the cursed videotape first came into existence. They break into the lower levels and find the well, seen in the video, hidden underneath the cabin. Is this legal? Does no one not notice them doing this? Reiko's ex-husband goes down into the well and discovers that Sadako had still been alive and had tried to climb out, breaking off her fingernails. They attempt to remove all the water in the old well to find Sadako's body. Finally, they find the sad remains of the young girl, unjustly left to die in the well. The time limit for Reiko's 7 days passes, and so they think the curse has been lifted and they've been successful. However, the very next day, when her ex's time limit is up, Sadako appears in the famous coming out of the TV scene. She kills him, and Reiko finds out about it soon after. Shocked, she wonders why she was spared and not him. Finally, realizing that she had made a copy of the tape and had showed it to him. The credits roll as we see Reiko racing to her father's place, where her son was staying, so that she can get him to copy the tape as well. Ring is classified as a horror film, but it really isn't all that scary. It's more of a mystery thriller type of story that really keeps you on the edge of your seat. The acting in this film is a little bit cheesy at times and felt forced, but was okay for such an old film. It's really the intriguing storytelling here that shines. Once again, as I often mention in many of my videos, this movie has no clear villain. Just like Sachiko in my Corpse Party movie review, Sadako herself was mostly an innocent child and a victim of her circumstances. The real villains of the film are society itself, not willing to accept those that are different, and then the backlash that comes later from the bullying of the victims. This is pretty much a story of karma, if there is such a thing. Many Japanese stories are designed this way. I honestly feel sorry for Sadako, as she was pushed into the well and left down there alone in the cold for a whole week, just because people feared her. She tried to climb out multiple times, but eventually succumbed to the cold and starvation after 7 days. She wasn't really a bad person, just a victim of circumstances. The story of the cursed videotape is quite brilliant. The video has all the clues that lead to the truth of Sadako's secret murder and gives the viewer 7 days to find the truth, the exact same amount of time Sadako had before she died in the well. I highly recommend everyone check out this movie. The Japanese version, that is, not the American remake. The essence of the original movie is lost, and the American remake committed the cardinal, unpardonable sin of renaming the main villain, Sadako herself. I mean, come on. Taking an iconic horror character famous around the world and renaming them is completely unacceptable. I mean, you just don't go renaming Freddy Krueger into Teddy Tutu, or you don't go renaming Jason into Mr. Magaulu. Freddy will always be Freddy Krueger, and Jason is just Jason, even here in Japan. So renaming Sadako to Samara is just a dick move and a huge insult to the character herself. But no need to fret. I think Sadako has taken notice, and those American producers of The Ring probably only have about a week left to live. So just watch the Japanese movie to be safe, or else Sadako may come for you. That's it from me. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you in the next Japanese movie review.